What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Keystone Film Review. This time it's just little old me, Glenjamin Button, doing a solo review for the movie
Resident Evil.
Welcome to Raccoon City. Just a heads up, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this, and a lot of ranting. So, if you're here for that, welcome. If you don't want to be a part of it, I understand. A lot of people don't like my rants or opinions. So, goodbye, I guess, or welcome still, whatever you want. But just heads up, I get into this. I get into this a little bit. Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City, set in 1998, the origin story explores the secrets of the mysterious Spencer Mansion in the ill-fated Raccoon City. Directed by Johannes Roberts. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize now for butchering these names absolutely crazily. I have a mental capacity of a jelly bean, and not the good flavored ones. It stars Kaya Scodelario, Robbie Amell, Hannah John Kamen, John Hopper, Ivan Jogia, Donald Logue, Neil McDonough, whatever, Lily Gao, Chad Rook, yada 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 yada. There's a lot of people in this. Right from the get-go, I'm going to say that this movie had a lot of fan service, a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of things that made a fan of the franchise sit there and go, this might actually be good. Holy shit, this might actually be good. From the trailers, from whatever, the posters, yada yada, whatever you saw, you sat there and you're like, this, holy shit, they're really putting some things in this. This is insane. And then you watch it like I did. I will start off by saying I am a huge fan of the Resident Evil franchise. There's not very many video game movie adaptations that I do enjoy, especially the Resident Evil ones. I liked the first two with Mila Jovovich. I have a couple of 60-second reviews on those. But what I didn't really get into is that Resident Evil has been a part of my life from kind of the get-go. I've watched my dad play these games between 1, 2, and 3, and yada yada, and then I played like 4, and then 5, and then me and my dad did whatever. The whole backstory is Resident Evil has been a part of my life for a very long time. I did try to go into this movie as a blank slate movie critic, which I hate calling myself. It's very weird. But I couldn't help but be overwhelmed by the fan of the franchise watching this movie. Because, like I stated earlier, there's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of things on the surface of this movie that are kind of deceptive in a way. Because it shows, like, hey, we know you like this thing. We're putting it in here. We're putting that in here. We're putting that in here. But off of the surface and at its core, the story, the characters, even some of the song choices in this were kind of dog shit. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody by saying that, but it felt a lot like a fan-made movie, which there's not a problem with that if it was a fan-made movie, but I don't technically think it was. It just felt like a low-budget fan-made film, which again is okay, but I don't think this was that at all. I think this was just a half-ass attempt at trying to grab some sort of money from the fans who wanted to see something really fucking good, and they didn't. At least me, my opinion, my own, didn't get that. Let's start off with the storyline. Let's go with that right off the riff. A jumbled mess. It's crazy. Like it follows a lot of this, like the core of kind of what it is in a way, but when the core of the storyline is jumbled between two games, technically, that don't exactly happen at the same time. This has the game Resident Evil 1 and 2 happen at the same time, which I'm sorry. I call myself a fan. I don't exactly remember how much time is in between the two games, but I know they don't happen exactly at the same time. This had both stories of both those games happen at the same time, and it kind of convoluted it a little bit. It kind of made it a mashed potato salad here with the story, because you've got Leon, you've got Jill, you've got Chris, you've got Claire, you've got Birkin, you've got yada yada. Everybody is kind of in this all at once, and when you have all those characters, all those main characters jumbled up, Wesker even, I'm sorry I forgot to mention Wesker, you've got all these characters jumbled up into one hot mess. It's hard to tell a coherent story when you've got so many main characters in a movie telling their own story in some sort of way. What I was trying to get to is it makes it hard to follow so many stories into one jumbled up story. This runtime is about an hour and 47 minutes. It felt way longer because there's so many people that you're taking part of. Mainly the main character in this is kind of Claire. She's kind of your main character throughout most of this, and then you kind of also have Leon, and then you have Chris, and then you have Wesker, and then you have Jill. There's so many different characters that you're following along with, and it just doesn't feel right to have all those main characters jumbled up on together. And then when that happens, you've got the characters themselves. Now that is a whole different story, because none of these characters really felt like their video game characters. Most of them looked like, at least, their video game characters, except for the Leon and Jill, which I will say they looked good. I will say that. Problem is their character, their character development and all that was not their characters at all. Leon was an absolute piece of shit. He was just some kid who got his daddy's good graces to sway him to go to RPD. Even though he shot his partner in training, shot his partner in the ass, and then his dad was like, "Hey, we can get my boy to go to RPD, right? Just some small town hick little place, So right off the bat, you don't like Leon, which is insane because in the video games, I don't want to compare them that much, but you kind of have to in some sort of way. He's this rookie. He's this rookie who went by the book. He just wanted to be a cop. He just wanted to do everything he could to go in, start his job, and do good at his job. And then he goes to the city, and of course, hell happens. The zombie outbreak, the whole pandemic of sorts, unhinges on the city, and he's thrown into this situation where he has to nut up or shut up or die, whatever term you want to go with. And in this, he was just so pathetic, man. It's insane to take one of the nicest, not the nicest, but one of the best characters in video games throughout the last over 20 years and just in a movie absolutely shit on. Just you don't like him at all. I mean, the character, the actor, he looked good and everything. Same with Jill's, but most of the characters didn't even act like their characters. It was really hard. Wesker, Chris, they all looked somewhat like their characters, but none of them felt like their characters at all. In a movie like this, Resident Evil, where you're jumbling the stories and all the characters all together at once, you at least got to get something with that right. On the surface, this movie really drives itself on the fact that there's so much fan service that it wants to hide the fact that it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie at all. In fact, an hour and 47 minutes felt like the longest time I've had, and this is pushing it, since Suicide Squad, and I'm not trying to rant for 6 hours about this movie. Unless you want to, that'll be a whole nother video. I can jump into that anytime. But this was a very rough movie to watch. I will say there was some of the soundtrack felt like, kind of the save rooms and stuff like that. It kind of felt like, in their somber moments, it felt like nice, the save room songs and shit like that. But other than that, it's a very tough movie to watch, and it was a very tough movie to watch for my standpoint on being a fan. Maybe the average moviegoer might have a little bit of better chance with it. I just did not. I went with two buddies, and they equally hated it, or at least I'm pretty sure they both hated it as much as I did. I definitely know my one did. But that's just me. Listen, we all have different opinions. We all have different, thoughts about different things. I tend to rant, not get on everybody's good side when I do. I just want to know what your opinion was. And if you did like it, tell me about it if you don't mind. Maybe you can sway me a little bit. I wouldn't mind that. I would like to see some good in this. But for the most part, this movie was a hot pile of hot potato mess and hard to enjoy. So, I mean, I might give it a 1.5 based on the fact that it had Easter eggs, it had fan service, but what does all that mean when you've got the core concept of dog pupukaka inside? It's just a pretty package with nothing good on the inside, you know? It, like I said, it felt like a fan-made movie, which there's nothing wrong with, but I don't think this was meant to be a fan-made movie. I think this was kind of meant to be a cash grab or something, and, you know, that's just me. Whatever. I'm done. We're done talking. I'm sorry to hold you up for so long. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whatever day, weekday, yada yada. Just have a good time. All right. Kisses, smooches, good night, sleep tight. Good, get out of here. Bye.